AI. Let's talk about it. I'm a graphic designer, or a designer. I don't know what. Honestly, the term graphic designer I feel like is gonna be so outdated. That's another topic for another video. I am a designer, a visual designer, if you will. We cannot ignore the AI revolution that's happening and disrupting and completely changing up the design industry right now. You two are probably thinking, am I gonna have a job in the next 5 years? Maybe 3 or 2, I don't know. I am actually quite curious how well AI actually designs a brand. Like, can AI truly replace my job, which is to create a brand or some kind of visual identity? I'm gonna pit myself against AI and we're gonna have a showdown of who can create a better brand identity. And your job is to determine whether I do it better or if AI does it better. I thought it was only appropriate to actually ask ChatGPT for a prompt. So yeah, I didn't think of a prompt myself. I just picked out something that chat suggested actually. So the prompt I have, or the one that I picked that I liked the best, a matcha cafe in Berlin that doubles as an art gallery and co-working space. The brand should merge brutalist architecture with organic, slow living aesthetics. It caters to young creatives, remote workers, and culture lovers. The tone is refined but experimental. Think stone textures, raw edges, leafy greens, and minimal type. It's the kind of place where you sip matcha while browsing a zine or joining a pottery workshop. The name of the cafe is Brun, like I guess in some languages that means brown. Brand values are creativity, sustainability, community, and introspection. And the audience is 25 to 40-year-old creatives, designers, and freelancers in Berlin. There has to be some rules established. Number 1, I'm not allowed to use ChatGPT for my design. Number 2, design on the same day. So within 24 hours, I think is appropriate. The reason why I established this rule is because I think the point of having AI generation is because it's fast and efficient. And that's where humans unfortunately fall short. Like, we do take our sweet time, especially in design. And I just thought it would be quite interesting to put a time constraint on myself to see just how good of a design I can come up with. So I'm not gonna go like really deep into it. I'm not gonna go into like brand strategy and coming up with the whole research behind brand, which is normally what happens, right? Like, that's a really big misconception that you think that you're hiring a designer for just like a day to design a logo or something, but it actually comes with weeks and weeks of work. And lastly, I must use the same prompt, which is pretty self-explanatory. So let's get into it as we start with my process. Time is of the essence, so I immediately went with my first imagined space of this cafe. I jumped onto Pinterest to curate a mood board to visualize just what exactly does this cafe look like in physical space and see how my brand identity can fit. I gathered images of those minimalist, brutalist-esque cafe vibes in which you'll see a lot of wooden textures, glass, and steel. So that means a lot of browns, grays, cream, green for matcha, of course, and silver were the primary color inspiration for me. And after I was happy with the mood board, I went into designing a logo pretty much like immediately. This stage was so rushed, so badly. I literally went with like the third typeface I experimented with because I felt that it was a pretty good start already. I timed myself just to see how long this would take me. Unfortunately, I forgot about it and didn't stop it in time, so I'm sorry about that. But I estimate that it took me a total of 6.5 hours, which is not terrible, but 2 of those hours were definitely messing around and losing focus. I am human after all, so I do lose focus here and there, you know? Cut me some slack. Threw in some colors that went well together, and voila! I'll show you my designs after we generate AI's version the next day. It's time for AI to make the designs now, and I'm super excited about this actually. Like, I don't know, I'm just very curious what it's gonna come up with and like how far we can go with it. As ChatGPT and AI generation is becoming more and more frequent in our lives, I'm now learning the importance of prompting actually, and like that's such an interesting thing because it's kind of like a new skill. Like, I think it's going to be a new job that is going to be created in society where people are going to learn how to be good AI prompters, if that makes any sense. yeah, like I'm gonna go several rounds with it and just see what kind of designs we can get out of this. Interesting. So before chat generates the logo, he wants to make sure that I'm gonna address chat as he, sorry. Like it's just easier for me for my speech. He wants to make sure that we're aligned on a few visual and conceptual details to best capture the brutalist and organic duality you described. That is very interesting because I actually didn't expect that. I thought chat would just go straight into generating an image. I've never done this before, so I'm actually quite surprised because that is exactly what brand strategists do. Like when you hire a graphic designer or someone who is supposedly supposed to make your visual identity, we don't jump straight into the logo. And we actually do research, brand research. We look at competitors, the audience, research into the audience, create user personas for that, do SWOT analyses. And so I'm actually like pretty happy with this. Like this is something that I'm pretty sure not a lot of people would think of when they're generating something. It's not what I imagined at all. I'm not really sure if I'm getting brutalist vibes, to be honest. I'm gonna ask chat for more variations because I don't think I'm too happy with this version. It's just giving like newspaper vibes, if that makes any sense. It's also leaning really into sustainability, which is something that I didn't really lean into. Yeah, I'm gonna critique chat a little bit and like maybe help it a little bit to generate something that could be more in line with this. Okay. I like this, the first direction. Like this one is quite interesting to me. Like turning the upper part of the B letter into a leaf. That's just a freaking circle. What the heck, chat? This is so bad. I am not a fan of this circle. That's so lazy. Okay. Also, like just the letter B like that, and it's not even the same font as the B that's in here. Neither of these are. I have to say the first one is the best one because it's the most creative. Maybe like the box around it is what's supposed to be more brutalist because it did mention like geometric shapes. I'm not entirely sure of like the mix of like the slab typeface as the logo and then using a serif font as the tagline underneath. It just looks very like it doesn't go together. It's just like kind of slapped on there. Okay, let's go with the first one. Like let's see how much we can explore. So I'm gonna tell chat I really like the first one. Okay. It is a little bit different from this one. The color choice, interestingly enough, is very similar to mine. It has a more of a yellowish tint, like more cream color, whereas mine was a bit more off-white. I'm not mad about the color choice. I think it's appropriate. I'm gonna ask chat to generate the first like it's not exactly the same. So I'm gonna take a screenshot and be like, can you generate logo mark? The B logo you just generated is not the same. Hey, that's so much better. Hey, I like that. That's actually pretty decent. Still not the direction I expected, but like if this is the best that we can do, I think it's pretty cool. And I'm gonna now ask for a coffee cup design using this logo. So I'm gonna first approve this logo. Oh, is it just gonna slap on the logo on the cup? Ooh, that's a little boring. Well, I guess that's what I did. Oh, it's a little bit different. That's not what we want. Still not exactly the same logo mark that I really like. It kind of lost that like little curve that's here that I like, but I can work with it. Design in the background is kind of cool. I'm not really getting brutalist cafe vibes. again, I'm getting a lot of sustainability vibes, and that's something that I'm noticing that ChatGPT is really hanging on to, is this like sustainability aspect. But I'm gonna take this because frankly, I don't think I can sit another 10 minutes for ChatGPT to generate more images. So I'm gonna download this, I'm gonna take it, and the last thing I'm gonna ask is to generate a full color palette so I can mock up the logos and put it in different colors. We're gonna take these hex codes and then put them onto Illustrator or Photoshop to see the color palette. Okay, so I've just quickly threw some mock-ups together. So first impressions of the ChatGPT version. I was a little bit in the struggle bus with ChatGPT because it kept generating different logo marks and even different colors. And if you're not equipped to be a design or creative person and you're trying to build a brand identity using ChatGPT, you might not be quick to catch those inconsistencies. And brand inconsistency is like a huge no-no. Inconsistency is like a huge culprit to losing out on customers and that customer loyalty, which is so very important in brands. And so that's something that I think ChatGPT really falls short on. It just kept generating different logo marks, even though I kept saying like, I liked this one the most, can we keep it at this one? It doesn't seem to have the ability just yet to like use the same image as the one logo that you're going to use for your brand. Did it capture the vibe? I think it did a little bit. I understand why ChatGPT made those choices. And what really surprised me was like the explanation in the very beginning after my first prompt, where it was like, well, okay, brutalist, so I'm going to like use these visual elements, and that's why I use like the slab typeface for the logo, and like incorporating the leaf into like the letter B as the logo mark for like the sustainability vibe. I've already said this before, but I think it leaned into the sustainable vibe a little bit too much, because a lot of brands these days are sustainable or trying to be. Having a brand just simply communicate that it's sustainable but like doesn't really tell me anything else, I think can be quite confusing to customers. Like there's a reason why I didn't really lean into it that much, and I showed it through like the color green, and also it's like related to matcha, but instead I like used like the steel chair and like a coffee cup as a logo mark, because I liked the idea of like a space where people can have a coffee and co-work and work together, and that's why I put a chair in there. And like I don't know why, but like steel chairs give me a very brutalist vibe. I think it's interesting, like I haven't seen that logo mark before of like a chair with a coffee on it. I'm sure it exists somewhere in the real world, like this logo exists somewhere, but it kind of gives me like Swiss design vibes, like the icon, the very simple, same stroke width of every stroke in that logo mark. And I know that I am biased, so like I'm gonna admit that. If I saw these two cafes together, I would walk into my version because I can get a better reading of like what kind of vibe it is. It gives me more of like a young, youthful vibe, but also a creative space, a space where I'm allowed to talk with other creatives or people that are just having a coffee in there. It just feels more inviting. The colors that ChatGPT, I'm gonna pull it up right now so I have reference. I like the colors. I think it actually, the colors that it chose is more of a brutalist vibe than I did. And I think it did a good job in that. I like that it's like quite simple and very subtle, because brutalism doesn't really have that many colors. It's very monochromatic. So genuinely, I think ChatGPT might have done a better job with this, catering to like a wider audience. Whereas for me, my design could fall more into like the trendier kind of vibe. But I think that just comes down to personal taste. Like most of my designs are quite loud and colorful. So that's probably where I fall short on. Like you hire a designer for their specific style and preferences, whereas ChatGPT can kind of like be more broad, I guess, and more like general. So I guess it's good for brand identities that want more of a general vibe. However, I do think that there is still an AI look to these designs. It still gives me AI, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like it's like too general that like you can tell that it was generated. I'll be honest with you, I really don't like the Brune logo type that chat used. I do think that the logo mark is a little bit more interesting. I'm so curious to hear what you guys think. We honestly went very different directions, so I'm really, really curious to hear your input, your first impressions. What cafe would you go to? You know, like if these were two side by side, like if your friend was holding this coffee cup or this coffee cup, like which one would you be interested in going in? Another thing, I know I shouldn't like really compare because I am a human and I did take significantly longer, like 6 hours, 6.5 hours to complete this brand identity. And also I used first draft versions for everything. Well, I explored a little bit. Like I did draw some things and I was not liking it on my iPad. But I ultimately ended up with this drawing. It did take a little bit longer than I expected. Like it was getting kind of frustrating to like always having to correct ChatGPT. This YouTube video doesn't show it, but the entire raw footage of me chatting with ChatGPT in those few prompts took me 40 minutes, which is a lot longer than I expected. I was honestly expecting like at least 15 minutes to get everything. So take what you will from that. Overall, am I happy with ChatGPT's outcome? I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not really a huge fan. And that's my personal taste. I'm curious if there is someone who actually really likes this identity. Design is subjective after all, so I would be very interested to know people's opinions. And with that being said, I do want to conclude this video about the future of design. What does this mean for us designers? Okay, so we got this comparison. We can clearly see the differences between human versus AI with brand identity, with this logo, with this cafe that we just designed together. I think, regardless of what you think about AI, we are in the middle of the AI revolution. It's going to take over no matter how much you resist it. It's going to take over. It's going to affect us in every aspect of our lives, affect us in our jobs, whether you like it or not. I'm being brutally honest here. If you don't keep up with AI, you are going to fall behind. Do I like that I have to adapt to this? No. I never like asked for AI to like, you know, come in and like completely change up the industry. But if I don't want to fall behind, I have to learn how to use it. And something that I didn't mention this earlier in the video before, but like, I think it's going to be a new skill that we're going to have to learn, which is knowing how to use ChatGPT or whatever language program that we have to learn, and learning how to use prompts, incorporating that into our careers somehow. So I think, could I have generated better designs had I been a prompt expert? I think so. I think you can get much better designs out of the ones that I generated. I'll be honest, I don't really know how to write prompts. I haven't researched it. I don't really look into it. I use ChatGPT for personal things. Perhaps there's someone out there who can like generate like probably like a way better identity than I did just now today. But that is a very interesting thing. However, do I think that AI will replace brand designers? No, I don't think so, and here's why. Or any graphic designer of any sort. I think that you are still, as a human, asking ChatGPT to generate something, which means you are giving prompts, you're asking to generate whatever, etc. You cannot generate taste. I'm going to repeat that. You cannot generate taste. Our jobs as a designer, we help people recognize what is good taste, what is in style, what is good design, you know? And so when you hire a designer, you're not just hiring the logo of that like brand identity, just as an example. You are hiring a person who is going to tell you why this is good design. You are hiring their knowledge. Now, I know that ChatGPT technically is the smartest thing that exists on this planet. I get it. It has access to all sorts of information and knowledge. It can tell you why it is good design. At the end of the day, it is your business, your brand, or whatever design that you want out of this. You're still choosing subjectively what design you want. If you have an AI that's generating multiple things, like how can you really know that this is good design? Right? That's what I think. Like, I think that's why we are still very much valuable. And also, we're humans. I mean, like, isn't it so much better to have someone work with you that is a human and you could just bounce ideas off of rather than having everything generated for you, you know? Like, I think that just sucks out the fun in design and like creating something that's like so exciting and such a huge part of people's lives. Like, people build businesses and ask for designs because they're bringing something to life, and that's such a huge deal. And I think that when you just generate something in 40 minutes, rather than going back and forth with multiple people, working with people within your community, outside of your community, meeting new people, creating something together to bring something to life, I think is so much more value than anything that chat or whatever can generate right now. And that's why I think the emotional connection and the people that you meet through this process is infinitely times better and more valuable than doing it this way. I don't really know how to end this video. I don't really know what this means for us as designers. I can't predict the future. I don't really know what this means for me as well, you know, because it affects me as well. We should take responsibility and be mindful of where we're headed. We can't run away from this inevitable thing that's happening. AI is going to be very much in our lives. And so rather than running away from it, we should be open, because it can help us as designers. It can generate multiple ideas that you never think of before, you know, and it can help you in your process. But I think as humans, us as a society, we need to be responsible in how we treat this or use this new form of technology and how we incorporate it. I think that's where I fall into AI. Honestly, I'm thinking about it like every day. It's something that really, really is on my mind. And I like, it's just like this new thing that like just came out of nowhere, and we have to like learn how to, like adapt, like how to go about it. And it's only gonna get better going forward. Like, I'm publishing this video now, it's in the middle of 2025. I bet you this video in like 3 years, like these designs are gonna look so juvenile. Let me know what you think about the designs. What do you think about my designs versus AI's? I'm so curious, so please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your opinions. What do you think it did better? That's also something I'm really interested in. What do you think this AI generation did better? Did anything surprise you? Because it certainly did. It did surprise me in a few ways. But I also do see a lot of setbacks right now, at least like so far. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe, because I will be experimenting more with designs like this video. Yeah, thank you.